All right, guys. Today I'm here to tell y'all you have to be careful on social media. What I mean by that is you got to be careful what you consume and what you decide to believe and what you think is real and what you think it is not real because it affects your mind, guys. Especially, it affects everybody, not just like it's not a generation thing, millennials, Gen Z, whatever. I feel more for the Generation Z because they were raised pretty much in the internet compared to millennials. Like when social media and stuff was a thing for us, like was back in like MySpace, and even then it was just people who actually knew in real life. And I was like in high school, and then time Facebook was like a thing. Most of us, like at least for me, because I was born in 1990, we was in college. So maybe some of the younger millennials that started in high school, but a good majority of our life in childhood, we didn't have the internet growing up, so there wasn't a lot of like social media, even YouTube started in like 2000, I think it's 6 or something, but before it became like a real like it's something we just sit down and watch. Like I said, that was probably around like college time, like for me. So that's around like 2009, 2010 is when YouTube started kind of becoming like a thing where people were doing it like full time. But yeah, the reason why I say that is because a lot of stuff on social media, bruh, it'll it's a lot of confirmation bias obviously on social media, but it'll like make you believe certain stuff that's not real, because social media is not a real place. I'm just here to tell you that right now. Social media is not a real place. Like it is a real place, but it's not a real place, especially Twitter. If you got a Twitter, I couldn't have a Twitter because I feel like my brain would rot if I had Twitter, because people just always posting their thoughts and always just posting what they think, and I'm just like, bro, y'all don't be thinking before posting stuff. Because I've seen tweets because people will retweet their stuff on Instagram because that's what I have, and I'm just like, bro, y'all just be posting whatever you think is smart. You think you really be sounding smart, but y'all be sounding dumb on Twitter. Like, I don't know what to tell you. That's pretty bad because like people be sounding dumb on Instagram, but I'm like, Twitter, y'all really be sounding like kind of dumb. So that's why I'm just like, bro, there's no way I could have a Twitter. My brain wouldn't handle it. But the reason I'm saying be careful, like because for me, right, like I watch a lot of relationship stuff on my Instagram, and like anytime I see like a man or a woman, it don't really matter who, calling out women specifically in their behavior. A lot of times women don't like being held accountable on social media. That's just from what I see. Like women do not like being held accountable, because anytime somebody calls out the behavior, majority of the time they're always either blaming the men somehow or making excuses. Whereas like when I see, people calling out men, like, yeah, there's going to be some men that are going to be like, oh, well, because whatever, making excuses. But majority of the comments usually, unless they just completely wrong about a subject, majority of the comments usually isn't men lacking accountability most of the time. But yeah, the reason why I say that, so like, it make it seem like women aren't, accountable on social media. And then if you watch these like red pill podcasts, whatever, they be talking to all these type of women like OnlyFans and Instagram thoughts, because that's the women they be talking. That's the women they get on the show. They don't never really be getting like respectable, normal women. They're always getting like social media content creators or OnlyFans, and they be like, you guys don't have traditional values. See, this is what all the problem with women. And I'm just like, duh. Like, you don't go to a prostitute and be like, why are you not saving yourself for marriage? Like, that's dumb. You're dumb for expecting that. So guys will do that and be like, see, this is all women. Like, no, it's the women you talk to. So that's why when guys be like, oh, it's because women, maybe it's because of the women you talk to. You be talking to gold diggers and street thoughts, and then be mad because they don't show loyalty and value. Or sometimes it could be where you at, because like, I know me growing up, the area I grew up, most of the women that I would interact with were really stuck up. Like if you wasn't having a lot of money and wearing name brand stuff, they wasn't trying to talk to you. But I went to college in a different part of the state, more southern part of the state. They were a lot more chill and relaxed. And I went to Ohio, they just weren't stuck up like that. The part of Ohio I was at, they was kind of ghetto, but they weren't stuck up. So that's why I knew. I was just like, yeah, I knew it was because of like where I'm at. So sometimes it could be where the women you're talking to, where they're at, or like I said, the kind of women you talk to. Same thing with the women. They be thinking men are a certain way because they be seeing men on social media acting a way, or like I said, the ones on the podcast saying this kind of stuff or doing this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, they're just like, yeah, well, I have experience. I'm like, well, it's because the men you talk to. Like you talking to dudes like Tyrone and Ray Ray in the hood, and then be wondering why they don't, respect women, or why they're super violent and get angry easily. Well, think about the men you talking to, bruh. Or like, I've been seeing this from black women. They're like, yeah, the area I'm at, the black men don't like black women. I said, well, that's because you live in an area where there's not a lot of black men. Or black men have a lot more different type of women to choose from. Because I'm just like, you move to a state or an area where it's black men and black women predominantly, black men and black women are the ones getting together, because I think it's like 80% something of black men are married to black women. So this whole narrative that black men don't want black women, that's not true. That's a social media narrative that y'all came up with, but that's not a real, like, that's not real life. So that's what I'm saying, like, it's not real life, because the place I work at is a hotel, and you know, I would say if I had to guess, maybe 70% of the staff are women. And when I go to work, like most of the time the women aren't like, oh my god, it's a man, disgusting, ugh. But social media make it seem like that. Social media make it seem like American women just be hating men for no reason. And there do be women that do be hating men for no reason. But I'm not, that's not the regular thing. When I go to the grocery store, the cashier does a woman not like, men disgusting. Like when I go to a fast food place, they're not like, men disgusting. Like I said, where I work, they're not like, most of them are not like, men disgusting. There might be some that's kind of like, men, but most of them not like, men disgusting. You know, there's people that are married. People are married to men. Like people like are chill. So like that's what I'm saying, you got to be careful about social media, because social media will cloud your judgment, cloud your mind, and make you believe something that's not really true, because it likes to over exaggerate stuff, you know. And then you also got to be careful, because like for me, I don't just be taking everybody's advice on social media. I know for relationship stuff, if you're not a Christian, very rarely, especially if you're not a Christian, I'm not taking your advice, because I said a lot of times y'all just don't be having good advice. Some people do. Some people don't be Christian, they be having good advice, but a lot of times people just be saying whatever. And even people that are Christian, they be saying some dumb stuff, bro. Because I saw a dude the other day talk about some, saying marrying your friend is cliche. You should marry somebody that's kind to you, that respects you, that, you know, cares about you and supports you. And I'm just like, do friends not do that? Because all you basically just did is out yourself and say that you don't have good friends, because that's what friends should be doing. Friends should be doing everything you just listed. So why would I not want to be somebody that's my friend that does that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, but that's how it is. Like, I don't be taking everybody's relationship advice. I don't be taking money advice from the internet, like, because most people that be selling stuff on Instagram, because they'll be like, oh, just take this course, or they'll say stuff like, oh, you can do this job from home, and it's super good, you don't have to do anything. And I've been taught, if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true, and most of the time it is. So I'll look for the comments where a person, they'll usually give the lowdown and be like, yeah, you can apply for this job, but you also have to take this test, and it entails this, and it also says this about that, because the person that's saying whatever they're saying, they're not going to tell you the full details of what the job actually, they're not going to break down. Very rarely, like I watch a couple of YouTube videos where YouTubers, they'll do that, where they'll say, this job's work from home, but here's what you have to do to get it. And I appreciate those people that do that, because most people on social media do not do that. Or like, people be selling course and they'll be like, yeah, right, now in the comments and see. And what I always find weird about those is, how come there's never testimonials? Like, I'll look through their whole profile where they're always selling stuff, and there's no there's nobody like, yeah, I tried this course and it worked and it was really good. I'm like, that's a red flag to me. Because if you're selling a product, or you're selling, oh, this course will help you get rich, or this will help you save money, or this whatever, wouldn't other people be like, yeah, you should do this because it'll help you? Unless I guess maybe you sign a clause where you're not allowed to tell people, which is kind of weird. Or because I'm just like, that's kind of weird that nobody's testifying on your behalf how this thing works. Or sometimes you'll see like certain profiles, and that's all they'll do, but like, yeah, you could tell because it's a spam box. Yeah, I talked to blah 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 and this worked. And I'm just like, where's the person that was like, this didn't work for me? Or like I said, looking for the comments, it's like, yeah, you have to do this or this, that, and the third. If you don't got none of those I'm already like, nah, it's a red flag, bro. So that's why I'm like, I don't really believe anybody like sell anything. Like, if they're offering money advice, usually it's like, if somebody's like, hey, here's a book I read, or blah blah blah, you can find this book or whatever, that's a little bit different. Or there's like, here's some practical thing, like people that like on YouTube are like, here's some practical things you should invest when you have extra money, or make sure you save your money, or put yourself on a budget. Practical stuff that most people can do. Most people can like put themselves on a budget. Maybe not nowadays because the economy is trash. So people are just struggling just to survive, literally to pay rent, pay their mortgage, eat food, buy groceries, like pay their bills. People are trying to survive. But for like, if you can, most people, you can put yourself on a budget. You can save money. Like I say, if you're not super poor, you can, you don't got to eat out all the time. You don't got to buy designer stuff. You don't got to buy fancy stuff. So when it gives you like practical advice, like, put yourself on a budget, or, look for discounts here, or, read this book. It's super, cheap, and and they'll be like, the book basically talks about investing, or the book talks about how you can put yourself on a budget, or the book talks about changing your mindset. That's a little bit different because I can kind of understand that. But stuff where it's like, get this course. Not saying everybody that sells a course is a scammer, but it's like, get this course, do this thing. I'm selling this thing. I'm like, okay, buddy, that sounds a little too good to be true. And usually it is, because, for me, everybody's not like me. I like to do research for fun. So a lot of times people they either be saying stuff, and sometimes the people say fact like, oh, 70% of this and blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, let me look that up and see if that's true. Where a lot of people I know on social media do not. They hear something on social media and then they just automatically believe it. Like, literally, I've seen people say, well, Twitter said it was real, so it must be real. And I'm just like, people lie, bro. Which is crazy to me that y'all just believe what people say without fact checking. I'm just like, bro, this generation is lazy. Y'all really just believing whatever somebody says without fact checking. I know y'all ain't like me that do like to do research for fun, but at least if somebody's going to state something that's a fact, you should probably check that. Because a lot of people, what they'll also do is they'll state an opinion or a bias and act like it's a fact. And I'm like, no, that's just your opinion, you're a bias, bro. Like I said, anybody that's like, well, men do this or women do that, a lot of times that's just your opinion or your bias. Sometimes it might be true because the men you've talked to or the women you've talked to have done that, but that's not how it is for everybody. It's kind of like one of the things like the Passport Bros, how they said American women are basically trash now, and because of the modern mindset. And there's truth to what they're saying. There's a lot of women that do kind of have the modern women mindset, and so if you're a traditional man, it's definitely going to be hard for you. But not all American women are like that. Now, you might have an easier time going to a different country and finding a woman, that does have more traditional values. So that's why I said there is some truth to that, because if you go to certain countries, like say for Japan, for example, women have more traditional values there. You probably shouldn't be going to Japan just for finding love. But yeah, there's other countries you can go to, because specifically talk about the Philippines a lot. And a lot of the women from what I've seen over there have more traditional values. Yeah, that's true. But that don't mean every woman in the Philippines, and that's one thing, like some of the Passport, they were like, yeah, that doesn't mean every woman in the Philippines have traditional values. That doesn't mean there's not scammers out there. But yeah, there's some truth that, yeah, it might be harder for you if you have a certain type of mentality in America as a man, because a lot of women they have a modern women mindset, and it is what it is. That's the truth. So, but that doesn't mean every woman in America has that mindset. Not every woman in America is some super radical feminist that's an independent boss babe that think everything is about them, and you gotta worship me and serve me. Do a lot of them have that mindset? Yeah, probably, maybe, but like I said, there's people that don't. So it depends on where you look and what you're doing. So really, that's all I really came to say, bro. Just like, be careful about social media. Like, don't just believe everything. Also, don't just be contrarian for the sake of contrarian. Don't be like everything's false, because everything's not false. But do your research, and don't let social media just like cloud your mind and judgment, because that's the thing. Like I said, social media is not a real place. Same thing with like Instagram, right? People will post all the great stuff they're doing, like, oh, I'm on this trip and I'm traveling here, or look at this relationship or whatever, but they're not going to post the struggling parts. They're not going to post the 2, 3, 4, 5 years it took for them to get the job so now they can travel. They're not going to post the relationship when they first started and stuff was rough and they was poor. They ain't going to post that. They posting all the good highlights. That's why I know for me, like, I've posted like some of the stuff where I'm like, hey, bro, this is what I'm going through now. So like, when my stuff does happen, you can just be like, oh, look at all the good stuff. I'm like, nah, bro, I went through a lot of suffering and I went through a lot of, like, I had to work through this stuff. And that's why I'm also saying in the podcast and stuff I do, because it wasn't just like, oh, I just got this and it just happened. Like, the last 10 years of my life, I've been trying and failing all over again. So that's just constantly trying and then failing and messing up, and then trying and failing and messing up. So it wasn't just everything was easy. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Instagram's not real. So Twitter's not real. Like, it is real, but it's very biased. And they, like I said, people show their highlights and they show their best parts. So don't just believe everything. Like you said, you see women on the comments always being rude, mean, nasty. That's how they are on social media, bro. You see men in the comments being men and mean or whatever. That's how they are on social media. That don't mean everybody's like that in real life. You got to be able to separate real life from social media, because that's where it's coming to the point where everybody's just kind of mixing the two up, like, oh, well, if it's like this on social media, this must how it be in real life. And I'm like, nope, that's not the case. Real life is different. Like I said, people's experiences, I don't discount people's experiences, because that's the easiest way to basically not have a conversation, but people's experiences don't account for everybody, so I would say experience real life first before you be out here trying to be like, oh, social media is this and social media is that, and so that's why real life is this and real life is that. Nah. So That's all I really have to say. Hope you have a good rest of y'all day. All right. Peace out.